evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the inaugural presentation of Vast Resources post our name change from African Consolidated Resources and our change from being an exploration company to being a production-orientated company. A bit of a structure. Listed in London, we have a Romanian subsidiary company, a Zimbabwean subsidiary company, and a Zambian. The Zambian one I'm not going to deal with because we've disposed of those assets. In Zimbabwe, we have a 50% interest in a mine that's being developed, which I'll cover in a minute. But Romania will be the main focus of the presentation tonight. Just some key facts on the company. Unfortunately, the share price today is 1.5, not 1.7. These things tend to happen. But you can see that we've got a pretty widespread shareholding, no major institutions, a lot of retail investors, and it's the nature of a junior mining company at the moment. Now, on Romania, I want to talk about the BIHOR polymetallic mine. I want to talk a little bit about REMIN, a state mining company. Unfortunately, the other opportunities I can't go into because the announcement has not yet been released on the other Romanian issues. So I will just talk on those two Romanian opportunities. People have said, why Romania? Well, low sovereign risk because the country is very pro-mining. It's lost 90% of its mines when it came into the European Union, and they really need to convert their state mines into private ownership, and the government is very supportive. There is a mining culture in Romania. 500,000 people were put out of work when they came into the European Union, so there's an abundance of mining engineers, geologists, metallurgists, etc., available in country for us to employ in these mines. Many of them have worked in the mines that we are looking at. The emerging market side of it is that we are able to acquire mines at a massive discount to the net asset value in real terms. And so there's an opportunity to acquire mining assets at a massive discount, and that's why we are focusing there. The power infrastructure, as opposed to Zimbabwe, where we're doing other development in Romania, is very good, and we certainly have no issues as far as power. Romania is also quite strategically located in Europe and easy access for Africa as well. The first one is BIHOR, where we currently have an 80% shareholding in this company, and our objective there is to bring this mine that's on care and maintenance, got all the equipment there, on care and maintenance, to bring it back into production. Some details on it. It's a skarn deposit. If you're not a geologist, like I'm not, it doesn't mean a lot. But basically, it's a series of pipes that have come to the surface from depth. And these pipes, as the hot liquids came carrying all the metals, when they hit the softer rock and cooled quickly, they deposited their metals. We've got a 1.8 million ton resource at the moment, based on the Russian reserve calculation, which we find to be quite robust. It's not easily understood in the West, and so some people are critical of it. But we think that it's a pretty good definition of what is there. It tends to be on the conservative side, but sometimes the commerciality is not what it ought to be. We got the first pipe is where we're operating. We've got another 7 pipes that we still got to look at. So the upside, or the blue sky as we like to call it, is enormous. These investments, due to lack of investment and proper management, these mines this particular one went into administration in 2013, and we've identified all the mistakes that were made, and we know how to correct them. So we intend to reopen this mine, and we expect somewhere in the region of about 200 million free cash to come out of this mine from what we know at the moment. The location, it's in the right place where everybody else is. Carpathian Gold have recently been awarded their mining license for 29 years. So people say you can't mine in Romania. Nonsense, you can. They've got their license. Everybody focus on Rocha Montana with a 10-year problem. It's just a matter of how you go about it. You can actually establish yourself and mine in Romania. These deposits have been mined by the Romanians since 1947, mainly under the Soviet Union jurisdiction, but they are extensive. To reopen and restart BIHOR, we need some $4 million, which we've secured and we have available. So we have this project funded and are able to initiate the reopening immediately. We've done a lot of work looking at the Russian reserve calculation and how they came about it. And what we find is that they had a centralized exploration definition department where they said to the miners, this is what you got and this is what you expected to achieve. And what we do when we looked at the past production records, we've seen that what they actually produced is not what the in situ grades indicated because of the poor mining methods. So we've done reconciliations to get an understanding of just what went wrong and how to overcome these various challenges that the previous state mining people had. This is a schedule of what we see the production model, if we extrapolate what they did from the past production on the right-hand side, compared to what they should have done on the left-hand side, where we've built the model based on the in-situ grades and recoveries that they should achieve. And you can see there's a marked difference between what they achieved and what they should have achieved. And we've got a clear path of getting this mine to achieve what it should have achieved, not what it didn't. The geology, it's all there. I don't need to go through it in any great depth, except that it's a vertical ore body. They tend to have the very high-grade gold and silver cap, which is amenable to open-cast mining. What we find is that the copper and silver grades increase with depth, and the lead and zinc grades decrease with depth. And of course that's to our advantage because it's really a copper silver operation, and the fact that these deposits increase with grade at depth is an encouragement. Now we've got the first pipe. They've mined down to the 18 level, and we've been able to establish that from 18 level to the granite intrusion there's another 350 meters of mining to be done on the first pipe, and we've got the 7 other pipes that we still have to look at. Again, huge blue sky. The infrastructure, we've got complete mine, shafts, hoisting, bins on the surface, where you can do selective mining. You can fill one bin with high-grade copper ore, next one with lead and zinc, third one with molybdenum. You have the ability to do selective mining, store it on surface, and then campaign it through the flotation and mill facility as you require it. And there are 4 flotation circuits in place, so that you can do a copper concentrate, a lead concentrate, a zinc concentrate, and a molybdenum concentrate. Tailings dam is the only tailings dam that's European Union certified in Romania, and so that's a very valuable asset, and we've got some 4.6 million tons of tailings that we can still put on it. All the above ground infrastructure is there, as is the underground. Current mining is between the 16 and 18 level on the first pipe. We've got another 350 meters to go. It's a very simple mining method, very similar to what we're used to in Zimbabwe. underground pneumatic face shovels, load the ore into 1 ton coker pans, which are run to the hoisted to the surface, dumped into one of the 3 bins, and then from the bins on surface, there's a kilometre-long railway that takes the ore to the mine in 3 cubic metre wagons. And it's quite fun on this little train going through the mountains in Transylvania. The concentrate that's produced is well known. It's a sought-after concentrate. The grades are given there. 26% copper concentrate is an excellent concentrate grade. We get very good gold and silver, and we are very excited about the ability that we have to market this concentrate very successfully. We have to take it by truck. The rail system in Romania is not all that good, although it is an option. Now, the mining costs, we've worked out to be about $81 a ton, mining and processing. The Romanian management feel that we've overstated it. Previously, the mine operated at $45 a ton underground with about 80,000 euro a month overheads. What we've had to do is we've based this on our experience in Australia and Zimbabwe of what mining costs are, but we do now realize that in Romania the costs are significantly cheaper than in Australia or South Africa, and so we should come in under this $81 mark quite comfortably. So what are our objectives at the BIHOR mine? Well, they're only getting 65% recovery because of poor operating methods, the wrong chemicals, etc. So we want to obviously get the recovery up from 65% to closer to 90%. That will have a marked improvement on the, on the revenue. The wolfram and molybdenum byproducts have been just dumped on the tailings dam. They haven't recovered them. They do have a molybdenum wolfram recovery circuit. Why they've never used it, we don't know. It's our intention to recover these metals. Being of South African experience and background, safety, we are going to redo the ventilation and hoisting. There's no actual need for ventilation. It's a naturally ventilated mine. But being from South Africa, we tend to be overcautious. So we're going to put ventilation in, and we're going to redo the hoisting facilities because I'm going to have to go down the mine, and I want new cables and more heavy. The mine has an installed capacity of about 240,000 tons a year. They haven't even been achieving 120,000. So to give us an easy target to achieve, we're going to start off at 120,000 tons a year, and that's what our model is based on so far. And obviously, all mining people have to concentrate on getting costs down. So a quick rundown on BIHOR, a very exciting opportunity to get our teeth, to cut our teeth in Romania, to understand things and how they work. But the real interest is the REMIN state mining company. 55 large-scale mines that were closed in 2004. The basic infrastructure remains. The mills, the concentrators, all the underground infrastructure, they sealed the mines off, so underground is intact. On the surface, the gypsies have nicked the light bulbs, the window panes and all the copper wire, which you'd have to put back anyway, but the basic infrastructure is there. These are wide underground ore bodies that lend themselves to bulk mining, which is very attractive from a South African experience point of view. To be able to address these ore bodies with bulk mining really brings the costs down. These 55 mines are stretched over 100 kilometers in the Transylvanian mountains, and I think the exploration has barely scratched the surface. The opportunity to do a lot more and define a lot more resources is there. Now, we went flat out on the REMIN asset, but the government have asked us to back off because the Romanian laws still have the old communist era restriction, and the Romanian government is working to change these, and it'll be easier for them to give us the permits and the permissions once they've changed the law. That's all well and good, but when they change the law, then the competition will arrive. So VAST's objective is, prior to them changing the law, we want to secure these assets. So notwithstanding that the government has said, oh, wait and let's change the law, we want to establish what we want now so that when the law changes, we don't have to compete for these assets. We've done a high-level due diligence on these mines. 55 of them, there's no way that we're going to be able to address all 55, but we've selected the top 5, and we want to approach their reopening in a specific manner. They dumped a lot of the material that they mined. If they were aiming for copper and they produced silver, it wasn't in the mandate, so you put the silver on the tailings dam and you produced the copper. So we've seen that these tailings dams are full of minerals that they weren't mandated to recover, so they didn't. So to get the ball going, you've got huge deposits of tailings on the surface that are very rich in minerals, and they're mined, they're already milled. So to reprocess those is stage 1. Stage 2 are these precious metal caps that are referred to that tend to sit over the top of these epithermal deposits. What it means is that over time, as the deposit has been eroded, the other metals seem to have migrated, but the gold and silver stay. And so you've got these very rich caps on top of these deposits which lend themselves to open cast mining. So that would be the stage 2, to attack these high-grade gold and silver caps. And then once that's done, the third stage will be to re-enter and access these large ore bodies at depth. Once you've got the plant re-established, all the costs paid, you then got the resources to attract or to attack the deeper deposits. Right, time is constrained. Need to talk a bit about Zimbabwe. It's quite a diverse geological portfolio, Romania and Zimbabwe, but obviously I'm a Zimbabwean, hence why I have an interest to pursue Zimbabwe. Our first project is the Peerless Pickstone project. I was unable to raise money for Zimbabwe in the UK, and so I had to raise the money for this mine in Zimbabwe from Zimbabweans. And it's amazing that that country, with its economic state of affairs, I was able to raise the funding for the development of this mine. But we've had to give up a 50% holding in it in order to do that. I still hope that our partners will convert their shareholding in Pickstone to shares in VAST, and that I will get 100% back of the Pickstone mine. But it's located close to Harare. There's a good road network. It's an extensive area, 758 hectares. We've got some existing infrastructure that we've reutilized that was left there from the previous owners. But of course, we've put a lot more equipment in, which is on site and being installed as I speak. The power comes from Cabora Bassa, which means we're not completely reliant on the unreliable Zimbabwean electricity supply. But it's still work in progress, and it's something we have to watch very carefully. We will have some self-generation capacity installed just to keep the important things going in the event that we have a major power problem, which we don't anticipate. We've got all the mineral claims, we've got the right to mine, we've got all the environmental studies, everything's done. The only thing that's outstanding is this indigenization proposal where the government is really unclear what it wants. And nobody can tell me what I have to do. And when I met with the Deputy Minister of Mines and I raised the indigenisation issue, he just kicked it into touch and said, it's not important. We want you to open the mine. We can deal with the indigenisation later. So we continue to debate with the local community, with the government. We are prepared to do the indigenisation, but nobody can tell me what it is I have to do. I'm going to flick through these very quickly because of time. There's a model of the drilling and the previous underground workings on the Peerless and the Pickstone trend. You can see the extent of deposits. The blue stuff is the very high grade, so there's plenty of that, and we are obviously going to target the higher grade material first. There's some more of the underground deposit. Just a quick note on the oxide, we won't be going below 80 meters on the oxide pit, which is for the next 7 years at 10,000 tons a month. And when we get into the sulfide pits, we're not going to go below 175 meters. So it's not deep open cast mining. And when we get into the sulfides, we've got 15 years life. And after the open pit sulfide, we then got the proper underground, and that's not going to be my problem because that's 15 years from now. You can see there the green line is the level of the oxide pit to start with, and then the sulfide pit is marked in red, and you can see the huge amount of ore reserve or resources below that, which will have to be addressed with underground mining. The grey or white areas are voids where there's been mining in the past. There's still resources and reserves there, but because we haven't got underground to look, we've just taken the whole lot out of the plan. But there will be ore recovered from that area. Next to, or just down the road from Pickstone-Peerless, is the giant mine, which we also own. That little arrow there which says open pit design should be up a bit and covering the light shaded area. We've got 500,000 ounces defined there. We've got drilling target at depth and along strike. So that's the blue sky for this project. All the propaganda, world-class deposit, ready to go, 1 million ounces in the reserve. The resource, which includes the reserve, is 4.6 million ounces. That's a world-class gold mine by anybody's standard. First production, as I said, is August, and 20-year life with a 5 gram per tonne grade. Some details on the giant mine. I've run out of time, so I'm going to flick through this very quickly. The summary of why Vast Resources is a great company to invest in, and some contact details. So I've done it in 22 minutes instead of 20. Question time.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Hands up, please. Peter?
The Romanian mining, as I understand it, is caught up in a court case, out of which you hope that you will get your mining license. Is there anything you can say about how that has been developing in the last days and weeks, and,
Sure.
and how long it's going to take for that license to possibly come through?
Okay, I'm going to give you my version of the answer. Roy Tucker, our Chief Financial Officer and legal, if I say anything untoward, Roy, you can jump up and down. The court cases have been heard and found in our favour. So the state mining company next door, BIHOR SA, as opposed to BIHOR, our one, are at the moment the so-called custodians of this license, and they are required by law to hand it back to us. In doing so, they will expose themselves to a lot of criticism through the investigations, etc., that have taken place. So they've been reluctant to transfer these licenses. Because of the court cases and our interaction with them, they now know they have to. And there's a EGM on Friday where they've agreed to do it, and they just have to get it ratified. Given that there's one shareholder, the state, the licenses should come across. Anything more, Roy?
There are ways of doing it, but that's what looks like will happen without
most
any
likely.
real opposition.
Okay, that's plan A. There's plan B, C, and D, but we think plan A will work.
Any other questions, please? Peter?
Hi, also on the subject of Romania, you mentioned the possibility of looking for future mines, 55 other mines, and you talked about having to, the Romanians having to change state law in order to do that. It's another question about timings. Have you got any indication of, or is that an ongoing process? Is it months, years?
Yeah, they've got a very funny system there. Every mine and its records, because they belong to the state, are covered by the State Secrecy Act. So if you want access to those records, you've got to buy the mine first and then look at the records. Okay, they don't understand that now I want to look at the records to see whether I want to buy the mine. That doesn't work. So if you have state security clearance because of other things which our main chap in Romania has, he has the right to look at these things, okay? Now, they realize that doing it this way is a hindrance to investment. So they want to change the laws so that they're not covered by the Secrecy Act. But because they haven't been able to have a clear government and coalition and what have you, they've been fighting amongst themselves, not looking at the law. My estimate is that within 2 years this law will change. Our unique position to be able to get in and look at these assets before the competition will then disappear. And I'm of the view that within 2 years it's going to be open sesame in Romania, and I better have my ducks already in a row when that happens. I might be surprised and it's earlier, hence why we're going to get on with it and get the REMIN assets, but I reckon within 2 years it's going to be open sesame.
Roy, you've said that there's a lot of Romanian mining geologists, people ready to come and join you. Can you say a bit about the Romanian management and particularly how this relates to the vast people?
Sure. It's quite strange because being Zimbabwean, South African, I think mining is for men. Sorry, ladies, but that's just the way. In Romania, my senior management are ladies with huge amount of, I nearly said vast, but a huge amount of experience where they have reopened state mines on behalf of the state, re-engineered factories, etc. Highly skilled, highly competent people, and they finally twigged that it's better to do this on the other side of the fence rather than do it for the state so that the state can sell the mines, join the guys that want to buy it off the state, and then do the change and the restoration in the private sector. So what I found is that the quality of the Romanian staff, because the universities are great, as they always are in a communist regime, universities are great, they get a fantastic training, their skill base is as good as any, but the entrepreneurial, make your own decision is what they don't have, and they expect to be told what to do. And my role and my trick with my expatriates that will be helping me is to get to convince these Romanians that they are allowed to think, they are allowed to make recommendations, and we will implement their recommendations. And our role is to make sure that they succeed and not try and trip them up so they end up in the gulag. They're terrified of something going wrong and they're going to be held accountable. It's just alien to their character. But I'm seeing as we interact with these people, their ability to come up with solutions is fantastic. And I've taken these solutions, and I'm not a technical guy, but I've taken it to my partners who are technical, and I said, this is what the Romanians are suggesting we do to fix the problem, and they're saying they're spot on. So the ability is there. What we've got to introduce is the modern way of thinking and the entrepreneurial way of thinking, and that's the challenge that we have.
We've got time for one more question. Chris?
Three things, if I may. So firstly, regarding Zambia and the divestment there, is anything coming back in terms of, I think, something to the tune of $1 million, is that right?
Yeah, we've sold the copper for $1 million over time, and we've allowed them, the people who have bought the copper will also be earning into the rare earths, and we've got a 35% carried interest up until a certain level, and then we can invest or dilute as we like. So we've sold the copper for $1 million, and we will see how they do on the rare earths.
Okay. Funding at the moment, is that fine? So anyone here tonight thinking about buying into the company, they're going to get caught out for a forthcoming fundraise?
Look, my preference is always to get debt funding to minimize dilution. I understand the emotion about dilution, but I rather look at what's the value of my shares. If I've got 100 shares that are worth a penny, but I've got 20% of the company, or I've got 100 shares that are worth £1 and I've got 1% of the company, I know what I prefer to have. But I do know this percentage is an emotive issue. So we are looking at a number of debt financing options.
Right.
But I will not be held hostage if I can't get that debt funding, and I'm not going to lose these opportunities. I may have to go and get a limited amount of additional equity to make sure that, because I'm not being able to get the debt funding in the time frame, that I get...
But as it stands, it's not forthcoming.
Sorry,
It's not forthcoming, it's not around the corner.
what, the debt?
No, an equity raise.
I can't answer that. I can't say. I've got to see how I'm doing on my debt funding. If I don't get the debt funding, then I may have to do a small equity raising, because, as I said, I'm not going to lose these opportunities because I need a little bit more equity and I can't get debt. You know, there's no way I'm going to prejudice shareholders' interests by saying, well, that's it, I'm just going to let these investment opportunities go.
Okay.
But the emphasis is to keep it to an absolute minimum.
Last one. In terms of directors, their holdings in the company, can we see an increase in time?
Oh,
More
yeah.
shares being bought in the open market?
I don't know about the open market. Possibly. We have already got about 6.5% of the company owned by directors, and that could go up.
Thank you very much for your questions. I think we're out of time there, Roy. Are you going to be both around for a drink
Yeah,
after the
of course.
presentations?
Yeah,
If you have further questions, please come and ask Roy afterwards.